Hello, this is Professor Gansnobi. I'm going to be talking about in this video range damage and how your skill tree and pink Fs affect your range damage. Basically, I'm going to be doing a bunch of math in this video. Once again, I'm a professor of gaming, not a professor in math. So, if somebody wants to check my math, I'm totally fine with that. I'm going to be talking about using the hunting rifle and blunderbuss because both of those base weapon damage are 235. And I didn't want to keep just running around the map in hopes of finding one weapon to test, which I tried with the pistol, and surprisingly, it's very hard to find. But that's with every weapon, really. If you're trying to find a specific weapon in the game, it becomes harder. So yeah, let's hop in and go to our skill tree. So if your skill tree looks like this, off the base damage of the weapon, either the hunting rifle or the blunderbuss, the damage is going to be 353 for a body shot and 635 for a headshot. Now, this means that our first number we're going to be working with is 353, and I'll explain that why. It's a 1.5 multiplier for being a hunter. Now, this number 353 is important only for the next part, and you're going to see why in a little bit. So, now if I start speccing my tree here, I put 4 points into here, right? The next number is base damage, once again, is 235, and the hollow points increases the damage to 441 for a body shot and 793 for a headshot. Now, how do we get to this number, right? It's a 25% increase. Well, you have to take 353 times it by 0.25 and then take the number you get and then add it to 353. And that's how we get 441. Right now I'm going to be talking only about body shots, and I'll talk about headshots later and how that works. Because headshots are consistently 1.8 multiplier until you start speccing into Wig Splitter. So, now we want to increase our damage more, right? And the way I did this one was I wanted to go with the 20% because I thought it was going to be additive, but I was completely wrong. And the reason I thought it was going to be additive or off the base damage weapon is because of the way bleed worked when I was working with Kelly. This is when I kind of started thinking about oh, what is the max amount of damage you can do? So here we have 20% and 20%. Now, Last Chance by itself or Deadly Up Close, once again, base weapon, 235. The damage you're going to get is 423 for both, and the headshot damage is going to be 761. Now, once again, the way we got that was not based off of the base weapon number. It was based off the hunter multiplier. So the 353 number is how we got to that. Now this is where I got confused, because once I started adding these together, these two together, the number was too high, in my opinion. And I was like, why is this number so high? It doesn't make sense. It's not like adding the 20% is equal to 40%, and then taking 40% of the base weapon damage. Or it wasn't multiplicative either. So it wasn't like 24% times the weapon's base number. So this is how you get it, which is crazy, in my opinion. But so you take 423 times it by 0.2%, because remember, one of these increases it to 423, right? So you times that by 20%, the 423, and then take that number and add it to the 423, and we get 508. So it's a 508 damage with these two, deadly up close and last chance, and a headshot is 914. So after that, we added hollow points here, and you'll guess it, you take 508, times it by 0.25, take that number, and then add it to the 508. And the headshot for that is 1,142. Now, on to Wick Splitter. How does this work? Because my thought was it was 25% of the multiplier. But it says increase headshot damage. So that kind of makes sense of what this is right here. So the base damage here, I took all these points off and just had hollow points and Wick Splitter. So sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. I was gonna post every shot of like damage that I did so that you could visualize it, but it was just too much footage. Like, there's so much things that affect range damage. I haven't even gotten to Pink Fs and how that affected yet. So once again, we go to hollow points here. So our base damage, so our body shot damage would be 441. As you remember, we didn't have Wick Splitter on the first one, so that damage was 793. Well, that damage is increased 991. And the way we got that damage is by taking the regular multiplier, right? Which is 1.8 for a headshot multiplier. So 441 times 1.8 equals 793.8, right? And to add this damage, this Wick Splitter damage, we have to times it by 2.5, and then take that number and add it to 793, and we get 991.45. And we round that up. So it's 709. Yeah, no, we don't round it up. Okay, it's 991. Sorry, I have two numbers here. I have this whole paper full of just numbers of how I figured this out. So, I'm going to write the equation of how I got everything. And also, for Pink Fs, I thought there was a damage cap, but it turned out not to be a damage cap. It turned out to be me just using the hunting rifle and not using the last word. So that was my mistake. But the final numbers I got here was 761, which would mean we take the max damage that we've gotten from our skill tree, which is, let's see, 635, and then we times that by 20%. 635. Yep. We get close to that number. After checking my math, I realized that Pink Fs actually increase the damage by 20% for both headshots and body shots. So the 20% doesn't affect the body shot, which in turn affects the headshot multiplier. No, it's the body shot and headshot is affected by the 20%. So you take the 1428 times that by 20%, and then add that number to the 1428, and you get 1,713. But this is how I was able to find it, and I'm going to be writing all the formulas as I'm talking and editing later. My whole goal for this series is to see what is the max amount of damage a person can do with one shot. And I think I haven't talked about mastery yet. I have to figure out how mastery works. I haven't done testing on that yet. I just want to get this video out as soon as possible. I think the max amount of damage somebody could do with one shot will be Ed, because of the crossbow. The crossbow does more damage than the blunderbuss, even though the blunderbuss is easier to use. So, yeah. My next video will be about leader auras and how they work together and how they affect damage. So yeah, thank you for watching.